Well, 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 look who's back. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Terry Hansen here, back on Traveling with Terry this morning. Today is Tuesday in early part of March. It's great to be back with you this morning as I travel from my home to the office and spend a few minutes with you. To talk to you trailblazers out there who are grinding away, working hard in your businesses, whether you're managers, entrepreneurs, sales professionals, marketers, customer service representatives. Doesn't matter your position. I know you are hustling and working hard to blaze new trails and carve out your path personally in your career, doing wonderful and amazing things for your customers and clients, and really trying to serve your team at the highest level and be the very best you can be. And this morning I wanted to share a couple of thoughts that I'm with you about how to stay optimistic and positive even when times are difficult, when it seems like the whole world is caving in around you. I don't think there's really been a person, well, I'm sure there's been some, but last year, 2020, was a landmark year for so many of us, for so many who suffered adversely from the effects of the pandemic, who were laid off, who lost loved ones because of health or accidents or other things, and who suffered financially with all the added stress and chaos. Relationships really took a toll. And anyway, 2021's been started off this year being somewhat of a year of recovery. Wouldn't you guys agree? That and for many, even the lingering effects of 2020 and the pandemic still rage. It's not done. And many are struggling financially, physically, emotionally, with their relationships in all sorts of ways. But in our businesses too, there's been interesting shutterings and repercussions inside of many companies, with stress levels, with anxiety, with depression, with overwhelm, with anger, with frustration, with just evolution and change, and the effects that come with that, shrinking budgets and declining customer retention and other things. And it's there's a lot of things going on right now that can make our lives professionally and personally feel really dark, really dismal, really difficult. So really the question is in the midst of so much doom and gloom, in the midst of so much difficulty, in the midst of so much heavy, how can you and I keep ourselves light? How can we keep ourselves optimistic? Because one of the worst things that we can do, and I quote the immortal Johnny Depp or Captain Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean, when he said, "The problem is not the problem. Your attitude about the problem is the problem," right? The problem is that when we start getting on the negative, when all we see and all we feel and all we think about is the negative, and we're focusing on the difficult, our not only our thoughts and our emotions are affected, but our behavior and our words and our interactions with others can also turn sour. And we've got to be very, very cautious there. We know that there's a chain reaction between the things that we think and the cascading impact that those have, our thoughts, that they have on our emotions, right? And we know that there's a cascading effect that our emotions have on the way that we talk and the way that we behave and the way that we act. There's just this kind of domino chain effect. And so we've got to, and how we talk and how we interact with other people and how we behave has a corresponding domino effect on our outcomes and our results, and whether or not we achieve our goals, and just really the overall quality of our life. So we've got to be very careful about allowing a lot of the doom and gloom and difficult and hard that is swimming all around us. So oftentimes we've got to be careful not to allow that to negatively impact the results that we want to have in our business. So the question again is how do we stay optimistic and positive when a lot of things in our business sometimes are not good? They're dysfunctional, they're falling apart, things are just going sour. How do we do that? Let me give you a couple of thoughts to consider. And these have been some things that I've been thinking about lately, and recognize that I need to redouble my efforts in these 4 areas to really shine up and improve. The first is recognize that I, just as I mentioned, that there is this domino effect between our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, and our results. Those four elements are all linked together. And recognize that we are in control. We do have a great amount of influence over the results and outcomes in our life. So if we want more customers, if we want smoother operations inside of our business, if we want greater profitability, if we want better quality service, if we want those kinds of things, if we want those outcomes in our business, it starts with our thoughts and then trickles to our emotions, then trickles to our behavior and our actions and our words, and then that trickles to our outcomes and results. So recognize that we are in control. We are not slaves to our circumstances. We can affect and impact and influence the outcomes and results that we have in our businesses by first and foremost changing our thoughts and changing our attitude and what we think and what our stories and belief patterns are. We change those. That sounds easier said than done, but that is the critical component. So maybe tip number 2 to think about to stay optimistic and positive during difficult times would be is recognizing that we can take more responsibility for our thoughts and our emotions in the midst of all the difficult. And number 2 is get rid of any sort of blame game. It's very easy in the midst of difficult and hard to point fingers at other people or other circumstances and other situations and say, if this person just would get off their duff and do their job, or if this client wouldn't be so XYZ, or if the economy, or if the industry, or if my supplier, or if the manufacturer wouldn't, etc. It's easy for us to point fingers at other people and outside circumstances and blame them for the bad, the horrible, the difficult, the challenging, and the heavy. But that is a sour way to try to solve problems, and ultimately it doesn't work. So what does work is when we take responsibility, when we are proactive, and when we look for ways that we can change and we can impact and influence positivity and positive change. So number 1 is recognize that we can take responsibility for our thoughts and our emotions and not let those derail us. Ultimately, optimism and that feeling of positivity and hopefulness and cheeriness, those are just emotions. And guess what? Those emotions, we're 100% in control of our emotions. So if we want to feel optimistic, and hopeful and energetic about the work that we are doing and the future that we have in our companies and businesses, then that ultimately is up to us. We can choose our thoughts, we can choose our feelings, etc. So that's number 1. Take responsibility. Number 2, avoid the blame game at all costs. That will not serve us in helping us feel optimistic about the future. Number three is use your imagination. Look to the future and ask yourself, what could go right about all of this? What are the hidden opportunities that could be taken advantage of? What could go very right about this? And allow yourself to get creative and allow yourself to use your imagination. Allow yourself to think creatively about all of the positive outcomes that could happen as a result of the situation that we're inside of our companies. When we allow ourselves to use our imaginations and be creative and be creators and paint a vision and a picture for ourselves in our minds, then that becomes to some degree a little bit of a new reality that we can glom onto and hang on to. And that's an important step. You know, before any building is built, there's always a blueprint drafted. There's a picture, an image, an idea, a map, or a plan that's created first. And then secondarily, then the building is constructed and built. There's always some sort of an idea or a spiritual creation first of the outcome, and then there's a physical creation of that outcome. It always works like that. So you're in my job to stay positive during the midst of heavy, difficult, hard times, is to work on that spiritual creation part first. Use your imaginations and think about what could possibly go right. Okay, that makes sense. The fourth and final thing to consider would be in dark and difficult and heavy times, it's easy to focus on the bad and focus on what's broken, focus on what's not working, and have that become, frankly, our reality. But we miss an opportunity there. We miss an opportunity to focus on and identify and look for evidence of what is working, what is going well, what is right. What should we be grateful for? That's really number 4, is be grateful for the things that are working. Celebrate the things that are working. Be grateful and celebrate the things that are working. Make a list of those. And sometimes that's a really good exercise to do, especially in business when things can be difficult, when departments can be collapsing and crumbling, when customers can be canceling services, when sales aren't coming in, when profit margins are shrinking, when it's hard to find good help and good labor, when key employees bail out or quit or something like that, right? It can be hard and it can be difficult. But at the end of the day, it's very helpful to make a list of those things that are working, that are going well, the talented employees that you do have, and point your finger and focus your mind on those kinds of things. So anyway, those are my recommendations this morning in the midst of our chaotic world that we are in, and everybody's hustling and working really hard to do their best to grow their careers, to strengthen their families, to keep their relationships strong and tight, keep their minds and their spirits and their bodies healthy and vibrant and strong. Everybody's climbing the same hill, working really hard. And so, but in the midst of that, it can be very challenging. There can be some dark and difficult times. And 2020 showed us that. And 2021 continues to rear its head in many aspects there. And so the question becomes again, how can we stay optimistic and positive and hopeful and energetic and light and positive in the midst of doom and gloom and heavy and difficult? Number 1, take responsibility for your thoughts. Take responsibility for your emotions. Change your story. Choose your beliefs so that you can impact those things. Number 2 is avoid blaming other people and circumstances for the difficult. See what you can do to take responsibility for the things underneath your control, and see what you can do to change your circumstances and situations. Number 3 is avoid the blame, or excuse me, use your creativity. Use your creativity and imagination and create your blueprint and dream about the future. Dream about what could possibly go right. And number 4 is focus on what is working. Focus on being grateful for the things that are working well and celebrate those. So anyway, I hope those 4 simple concepts or ideas, they're a little common sense, they're a little normal, but sometimes we just need those common sense reminders when we're in the midst of chaos. So I hope those help you, and I hope your Tuesday goes super splendiferous, and I hope it's a great day. Lots to look forward to, lots of good things happening today, and I'm excited about some of the changes that are happening inside of our company, Arcane Marketing, a digital marketing agency located here in Idaho Falls. Man, lots of exciting things happening, and excited for the future. So anyway, good luck today. Keep up the good work. Love you. And if you have any questions or need any help, of course, with digital marketing in any shape or way, be sure to reach out, and we'll be sure to chit chat and see what we can do to help you. So take good care. We'll be in touch. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for watching. Did you know every company out there has what we call digital marketing blind spots? These are simple, hidden opportunities for growing and improving your marketing that most of the time people miss. Go to www.arcanemarketing.com and take advantage of our Rise and Ignite digital marketing analysis. It's 100% free to get fresh new insights and ideas to make what you're already doing that much better in 2021.